Envious coworker sabotaged my promotion opportunity, but her elaborate scheme backfired spectacularly and exposed her own fraudulent activities, leading to her termination and legal troubles. My name is Alex Chen, and until 3 months ago, I was just another software engineer at Technova, a mid-sized tech company in Seattle. I loved my job, got along well with my colleagues, and was making steady progress in my career. Little did I know that beneath the surface of our seemingly harmonious workplace, a storm was brewing. It all started when our team lead, Marcus, announced his upcoming retirement. Marcus had been with Technova for over 2 decades, and his departure meant a coveted senior position would soon be up for grabs. The air in the office immediately became charged with anticipation and, as I would soon learn, fierce ambition. I had been at Technova for 5 years and had consistently received excellent performance reviews. I knew I was a strong candidate for the promotion, but I wasn't the only one eyeing the position. My colleague, Vanessa Harris, had made it clear from day one that she saw herself as the natural successor to Marcus. Vanessa was brilliant, no doubt about it. She had a master's degree from MIT and an impressive track record of successful projects. But she also had a reputation for being ruthless and overly competitive. I had always tried to maintain a cordial relationship with her, but there was an underlying tension that I couldn't quite put my finger on. As the weeks passed and the selection process for Marcus's replacement began, I noticed subtle changes in the office dynamics. Conversations would abruptly halt when I entered the break room. Coworkers who had always been friendly suddenly became distant. At first, I chalked it up to the stress of the impending change, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. One Monday morning, I arrived at work to find an email from HR in my inbox. My heart raced as I opened it, half expecting it to be about the promotion. Instead, what I read made my blood run cold. Dear Mr. Chen, we have received reports of concerning behavior on your part. Multiple employees have come forward with allegations of harassment and inappropriate conduct. We take these matters very seriously and will be conducting a thorough investigation. Please report to HR at 2 p.m. today for an initial meeting. Regards. Sarah Thompson, Human Resources Director. I stared at the screen in disbelief. Harassment? Inappropriate conduct? I had never so much as raised my voice at a coworker, let alone harassed anyone. This had to be some kind of mistake. As I sat there, trying to make sense of the situation, a chat message popped up on my screen. It was from Dave, a junior developer on our team and someone I considered a friend. Alex, man, what's going on? I just got called into HR to give a statement about you. They're saying you've been making racist comments and threatening people. I told them it couldn't be true, but they seem pretty serious about it. Are you okay? My mind reeled. Racist comments? Threats? This was getting more absurd by the minute. I quickly typed back a response to Dave, assuring him that I had no idea what was happening but that none of the allegations were true. As I hit send, another email notification caught my eye. This one was from Marcus, and the subject line made my heart sink, disappointed and concerned. I opened it with trembling hands. Alex, I've just been informed about the allegations against you. I have to say, I'm shocked and deeply disappointed. I've always considered you one of our brightest talents and a potential future leader at Technova. However, if these accusations are true, I'm afraid I'll have no choice but to recommend against your promotion and possibly push for more severe consequences. I hope you can provide a satisfactory explanation for all of this. Marcus. The room seemed to spin around me. In the span of a few minutes, my professional life had been turned upside down. The promotion I had worked so hard for was slipping away, and worse, my very reputation was under attack. As I tried to gather my thoughts, a movement in the corner of my eye caught my attention. Through the glass walls of our office, I saw Vanessa walking briskly towards the HR department, a thick folder tucked under her arm. Our eyes met for a brief moment, and I could have sworn I saw a flicker of triumph in her gaze. That's when it hit me. This wasn't a misunderstanding or a random series of false accusations. This was a calculated attack. And Vanessa was behind it all. Little did I know, this was just the beginning of a twisting, turning saga that would expose far more than just a jealous coworker's scheme. As I steeled myself for the meeting with HR, I had no idea that I was about to embark on a journey that would shake Technova to its very foundations and change the course of my career forever. The walk to the HR department felt like the longest of my life. My mind raced, trying to piece together how this could have happened. As I approached Sarah Thompson's office, I took a deep breath, reminding myself that I had nothing to hide. Sarah, a stern-looking woman in her 50s, greeted me with a grim expression. "Mr. Chen, please take a seat," she said, gesturing to the chair across from her desk. "I'm sure you understand the gravity of the situation." I nodded, my mouth dry. "I do, but I assure you, these allegations are completely false. I would never." She held up a hand, cutting me off. "We have received multiple complaints, Mr. Chen. This isn't just one person's word against yours." She pulled out a thick file, the same one I had seen Vanessa carrying earlier. "We have emails, chat logs, and even audio recordings that paint a very troubling picture." My heart sank. Audio recordings? This was worse than I thought. "May I see the evidence?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Sarah hesitated, then slid a few printed pages across the desk. What I saw made my blood run cold. There were screenshots of emails, apparently from my account, filled with racist slurs and threats. Chat logs showed conversations where I had made inappropriate advances towards female coworkers. It was all there in black and white, but none of it was true. This isn't me," I stammered. "I never wrote any of this. These must be fabricated." Sarah's expression remained impassive. "Mr. Chen, these came directly from our servers. The timestamps and IP addresses all match your work computer." As she spoke, a terrible realization dawned on me. Last month, I had let Vanessa use my computer to finish a report while mine was being repaired. She must have installed some kind of keylogger or remote access software. "I think I know what happened," I said, and proceeded to explain about Vanessa using my computer. But even as the words left my mouth, I could see the skepticism in Sarah's eyes. "That's a very serious accusation, Mr. Chen," she said. "Do you have any evidence to support this claim?" I felt a wave of helplessness wash over me. Of course I didn't have evidence. That was the brilliance of Vanessa's plan, it was my word against a mountain of fabricated proof. No, I don't," I admitted. "But I swear to you, I'm innocent. There has to be a way to prove these are fake." Sarah sighed. "Mr. Chen, we will conduct a thorough investigation. In the meantime, I'm afraid we'll have to suspend you with pay. Please hand over your company ID and laptop before you leave." I felt numb as I handed over my belongings. As I stood to leave, Sarah added, "And Alex? I suggest you retain legal counsel. This situation could have serious implications beyond just your employment here." The next few days passed in a blur. I hired a lawyer, Sandra Wu, who specialized in employment law. She listened to my story with a mixture of concern and intrigue. "This is an unusual case, Alex," she said. "If what you're saying is true, we're not just dealing with workplace sabotage, but potentially criminal activities. Fabricating evidence, unauthorized access to company systems. These are serious offenses." I nodded, feeling a glimmer of hope for the first time in days. "So you believe me?" Sandra gave me a small smile. "It's not about what I believe. It's about what we can prove. And right now, the evidence is stacked against you. We need to find a way to prove these documents are forgeries." As Sandra began her investigation, I threw myself into my own research. I spent hours poring over tech forums, learning about digital forensics and how to detect manipulated documents. It was during one of these late-night research sessions that I stumbled upon something that would change everything. I was reading about metadata in digital images when a thought struck me. I quickly pulled up one of the screenshots Sarah had shown me and examined its properties. There, hidden in the metadata, was a crucial piece of information: the software used to edit the image. My hands shaking with excitement, I called Sandra. "I think I found something," I said, and explained my discovery. "This is good, Alex," she said, her voice tight with controlled enthusiasm. "If we can prove these images were edited, it casts doubt on all the evidence against you. But we need more." Energized by this small victory, I redoubled my efforts. I reached out to Dave and a few other coworkers I trusted, asking if they had noticed anything suspicious. Slowly, pieces began to fall into place. Dave remembered seeing Vanessa working late several nights, which was unusual for her. Another colleague, May, recalled Vanessa asking oddly specific questions about our email system's security measures. But the real breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Late one night, I received an anonymous email. "I know what Vanessa did. Meet me at the Midnight Cafe tomorrow at 3 p.m. if you want to know more. Come alone." I debated whether to go. It could be a trap, another attempt to frame me. But I was desperate for any lead that could clear my name. The next day, with a mixture of apprehension and hope, I walked into the Midnight Cafe. It was nearly empty at that hour, save for a hooded figure sitting in a corner booth. As I approached, the person looked up, and I gasped in surprise. It was Tyler, one of our IT support staff. He looked nervous, his eyes darting around the cafe. "Alex," he said in a low voice. "I'm sorry. I should have come forward sooner, but I was scared." "What do you know, Tyler?" I asked, trying to keep the desperation out of my voice. He took a deep breath. "I helped Vanessa hack into your account. She blackmailed me. Said she'd expose some mistakes I made if I didn't help her. I didn't know what she was planning to do with it, I swear." My mind reeled with this new information. "Tyler, this is huge. You need to tell HR, the police." He shook his head violently. No, I can't. You don't understand. Vanessa, she's involved in something much bigger. Something dangerous." "What do you mean?" I asked, leaning in closer. Tyler glanced around again before continuing. "I've seen things, Alex. Financial records, emails. Vanessa's been embezzling money from the company for years. Millions of dollars. And I think she's not working alone." As Tyler's words sank in, I realized that what had started as a case of workplace sabotage was about to explode into something far more sinister. Little did I know, this was just the tip of the iceberg, and the revelations to come would shake Technova, and my life, to the core. I left the midnight cafe with my head spinning. Tyler's revelation had transformed this from a personal vendetta into something far more complex and dangerous. I knew I needed to tread carefully. One wrong move could not only jeopardize my case but potentially put me in harm's way. The first thing I did was call Sandra. As I relayed Tyler's information, I could hear her sharp intake of breath. "Alex, this changes everything," she said. "If what Tyler says is true, we're dealing with corporate espionage and large-scale fraud. We need to approach this very carefully." We agreed that our next step was to gather more concrete evidence. Sandra would continue her legal investigation, while I would try to dig deeper into Technova's financial records. It was risky, I was still suspended and technically shouldn't be accessing any company data. But I knew a few tricks to get around the system, thanks to my years of working in software development. Over the next few days, I barely slept. Every free moment was spent combing through financial reports, cross-referencing data, and looking for discrepancies. It was like searching for a needle in a haystack, but slowly, patterns began to emerge. I noticed small inconsistencies in project budgets, discrepancies in vendor payments, and unusual transfers to offshore accounts. Individually, they might have been overlooked as accounting errors, but together, they painted a picture of systematic fraud. As I dug deeper, I uncovered a complex web of shell companies and fake vendors. The scheme was ingenious in its complexity. Money was being siphoned off in small amounts from various projects, then funneled through a series of transactions that made it almost impossible to trace. But Vanessa had made one crucial mistake. In her haste to frame me, she had used some of the same techniques to create the false evidence against me. The metadata I had discovered in the doctored screenshots matched the patterns I was seeing in the financial fraud. Armed with this information, I contacted Sandra again. She listened intently as I explained my findings. "This is explosive, Alex," she said. "But we need to be careful how we proceed. If Vanessa is working with others in the company, we don't know who we can trust." We decided our best course of action was to take our evidence directly to the CEO, bypassing the potentially compromised HR department. It was a risky move, but we felt we had no choice. The meeting with CEO Jonathan Reeves was tense. As Sandra and I laid out our evidence, I watched his face transition from skepticism to shock to anger. "These are very serious allegations," he said, his voice tight. "If what you're saying is true, this goes beyond just Ms. Harris. This implicates several high-level executives." I nodded, feeling a mix of vindication and apprehension. "I know it's hard to believe, sir, but the evidence is clear. I'm willing to work with any investigation team you appoint to verify my findings." Reeves was quiet for a long moment, then he picked up his phone. "Cancel my appointments for the rest of the day," he told his assistant. "And get me Richard Chen from Internal Audit. Tell him it's urgent." What followed was a whirlwind of activity. Over the next week, I worked closely with the Internal Audit team, walking them through my findings and helping them dig even deeper into the company's finances. The more we uncovered, the larger the scandal grew. It turned out that Vanessa was indeed not working alone. We discovered a conspiracy involving several senior executives, including the CFO, who had been orchestrating the embezzlement scheme for years. The total amount stolen was staggering, over $50 million. As the investigation progressed, I was officially reinstated at Technova. The evidence against me was proven to be fabricated, and I received a formal apology from the company. But that was small comfort given the chaos that was unfolding. The day the story broke, Technova's stock plummeted. News vans camped outside our office, and reporters hounded employees for comments. Inside, the atmosphere was tense and surreal. People who had been colleagues for years now viewed each other with suspicion, wondering who else might have been involved. Vanessa, along with the other implicated executives, was immediately terminated and escorted from the building. As I watched her being let out, her face a mask of fury and defeat, I felt no satisfaction, only a profound sense of sadness at the waste of talent and the betrayal of trust. In the weeks that followed, the legal ramifications began to unfold. The FBI got involved, launching a full-scale investigation into the embezzlement scheme. Vanessa and her co-conspirators were facing multiple federal charges, including wire fraud, money laundering, and conspiracy. As for me, I found myself in an unexpected position. With several senior positions now vacant, I was asked to step in as interim head of our department. It was a bittersweet victory. I had gotten the promotion I had originally sought, but at a cost I could never have imagined. The scandal had shaken Technova to its core, and rebuilding trust, both within the company and with our clients and shareholders, would be a monumental task. But as I looked around at my team, I saw determination in their eyes. We had been through a trial by fire, but we had emerged stronger. One afternoon, as I was leaving the office, I ran into Tyler in the parking lot. He looked nervous, shuffling his feet as he approached me. "Alex, I just wanted to say I'm sorry again. For everything. If I had come forward sooner." I cut him off with a shake of my head. "You did the right thing in the end, Tyler. That's what matters." He nodded, looking relieved. "What happens now?" he asked. I looked back at the Technova building, its windows reflecting the setting sun. "Now? We rebuild. We make this company what it always should have been, a place of innovation, integrity, and trust." As I drove home that evening, I reflected on the incredible journey of the past few months. What had started as a simple case of workplace jealousy had uncovered a vast conspiracy, toppled executives, and reshaped an entire company. I had faced the greatest challenge of my career and come out the other side, not unscathed, but certainly stronger. I knew the road ahead would not be easy. There would be depositions, possibly court appearances, and the monumental task of steering Technova through this crisis. But I was ready for the challenge. After all, I had learned a valuable lesson through all of this: integrity and perseverance can overcome even the most elaborate of schemes. As I pulled into my driveway, my phone buzzed with a news alert. The headline read, "Technova Scandal, Former Executive Vanessa Harris Pleads Not Guilty to All Charges." I sighed, realizing that this story was far from over. But whatever came next, I knew I was prepared to face it head on.